So maybe just to say a couple of words about what we're doing with that experiment and how it is different. It was obviously different, but maybe why it's different and what we're doing. So in the more traditional, deliberate mindfulness approach to the body scan that we use in MBSR, where using our attention and this tool of being able to deliberately initiate something, and that tool of deliberately initiating something, to all of us, I would say, creates a sense of me doing something. And with the traditional or deliberate mindfulness approach to the body scan, we're learning important things. We're learning about attention and what it is, and we're right away learn that it's actually something that it's an aspect of the mind that we have access to and can deliberately invoke for a short period. So we can deliberately point the attention somewhere, and then we learn that in fact goes someplace else. And the thing we may or may not notice early in MBSR is that we were convinced there was a me that was deliberately attending to sensations, say, in my feet. But the fact that my attention goes somewhere else and that me is no longer around, a lot of times just goes past us. We don't realize that that just showed us that that me that we thought was there is actually not there at all. And it's us talking to ourselves, so the narrative mind, and a set of physical sensations, and it's a kind of useful psychological thing. So we learn a lot from the body scan. However, if we just continue with deliberate mindfulness, we can kind of be reinforcing this false sense of a self, which is the thing that suffers and is unhappy. And we can always improve it. We can improve our personality, but it's actually kind of part of the problem, if you will. And so trying to make the personality not anxious or not want things, in some cases is helpful to a degree, and then kind of runs into a wall because it's kind of a false thing and it's limited. However, the good news is that this broader awake awareness, which is always there, usually in the background, in fact, is the source of our freedom from that kind of stress or anxiety. And we have moments of connecting with it, and we can cultivate, no matter how short those glimpses are, we can cultivate a recognition of connecting with that. So this experiment that we did, being aware of sensations in the body without any instruction to deliberately do it, rather just calling out that it is already there, can possibly give you the opportunity to put aside kind of me, the meditator, and open and recognize that knowing of sensations in the body is already happening. So like I said, an experiment, a little bit of an exercise. And it's really easy to just bring pieces of this into daily life if you feel like it. So just even taking sensations in the body, once in a while you can experiment picking up a cup of tea or something like that. Perhaps noticing that there are the sensations or the knowing of sensations tasting the tea or picking up the cup, and how this sense of me knowing the sensations, or the me that's picking up the cup, is extra. One of the ways that can be a kind of a door opening to this is particularly to notice the narration, or the narrating mind. It lags the experience by quite a bit. It's not that hard to notice. Say, for example, you walk into a room that's chilly. Right away, you know the room's chilly. About, a half a second later, or maybe even a second, you might notice the narrative mind saying, "Oh, it's chilly in here," like to yourself. You're not even telling anybody else. And so that can be a really good thing to notice. It begins to break down this kind of element of thinking and sensing seeming to all be one thing, because it's not. So that kind of thing, or drinking the tea, there may be a experience that this is pleasant and it tastes good. And you might notice there's a narration in your mind saying it's pleasant and it tastes good. It happens after the actual experience that you've already had. So the narrating mind's job is to kind of collect experience and put a story on top of it, which helps us to some extent understand things. But when we regard that as me rather than as just something that my mind does, it can keep us kind of trapped, especially when the story is, I'm not good enough, or I'm an anxious person, or I'm not lovable, or somebody else is to blame, or this is unbearable. So many of the stories that the narrative mind is telling us are not so innocuous as it's chilly in here, right? So we can work with things like noticing when the narrative mind is coming in after a sensation and telling us about the sensation, even though we already know. It begins to kind of weaken. We don't believe it so much. And so then when it comes to more difficult narration that it's doing over and over again, we can have perhaps a little bit more space around it. Okay, well, hopefully some of that is helpful. Once again, thank you for practicing, and have a good day.